long barracks and other buildings are closed. Many places are open at the Pearl Entertainment Complex. You can verify hours and modes of operation, curbside or dine-in, on your cell phone at pearl.com. The tour boats on the Riverwalk are running. Along the tour today, you will be able to hop on and hop off at any of the various historical sites or stay on board and enjoy the ride. Depending on your purchase.
तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? ड्रग्स का मतलब होता है मेडिसिन. गधे. उज़ैन देखो. तुम्हारी मम्मा को दिखा रहा हूँ मैं सब. अरहान लोग.
Since we got this detour guys, they're gonna be talking about certain areas.
लगा.
Because we got that detour.
Where?
At least you'll be able to still hear about it, guys. Sorry for the inconvenience. And as I make a left, look over to the right hand side, you'll see the famous animal.
Your pink ticket will gain you. In December of 1835, during Texas's war for independence from Mexico, a group of Texan volunteer soldiers occupied the Alamo, a former Franciscan mission located near the present-day
It's
city
gonna
of
be a
San
lot of
Antonio.
fun.
On February 23, 1836, a Mexican force numbering in the thousands and led by General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna began a siege of
Is it
the
recording?
fort.
Yes.
Though vastly outnumbered, the Alamo's just under 200 defenders commanded by James Blue Lee and William Travis, and including the famed frontiersman Davy Crockett, held out for 13 days before the Mexican forces finally overpowered. For Texans, the Battle of the Alamo became an enduring symbol of their heroic resistance to oppression and their struggle for independence, which they won later that year. Spanish settlers built the Mission San Antonio de Valero, named for St. Anthony of Padua, on the banks of the San Antonio River around 1718. They also established the nearby military garrison of San Antonio de Bejar, which soon became the center of the San Antonio de Bejar, later renamed San Antonio. The mission.
You said you want this, right?
Missionaries and their
You happy now? You say you want to do this?
70 years until 1790.
After that, we're gonna do the boat.
Yay! Missions located in San Antonio and distributed
बुरा
their
नहीं है,
lands
boat
among
वाली दोनों
residents.
समय का.
Beginning in the early 1800s, Spanish military troops were stationed in the abandoned chapel of the former mission. Because it stood in a grove of cottonwood trees, the soldiers called their new Fort El Alamo after the Spanish word for cottonwood and in honor of Alamo de Paris, their hometown in Mexico. Military troops, first Spanish, then rebel and later Mexican, occupied the Alamo during and after Mexico's successful war for independence from Spain in the early 1820s. In the summer of 1821, Steve Austin arrived in San Antonio along with some 300 U.S. Spaniards that the Spanish government had allowed to settle in Texas. The migration of U.S. citizens to Texas increased over the next decade, sparking a revolutionary movement that erupted into armed conflict by the mid-1830s.
The river walk. There's a American Tower.
Reaching 60 feet high and located adjacent to the surviving buildings of the Alamo itself, San Antonio's Alamo Cenotaph pays tribute to the men who died defending the ancient mission in 1836 rather than surrender to overwhelming odds. Titled The Spirit of Sacrifice, the cenotaph, or empty tomb, was created by sculptor Pompeo Cupini from a design envisioned by architect Carlton Adams. Begun in 1937, the cenotaph took 2 years to complete and is itself now a historical treasure. According to tradition, the Alamo Cenotaph marks the spot where the slain defenders of the fortified mission were piled after the battle and burned in great funeral pyres. The remains were later collected by local citizens and today located in a marble casket at nearby San Fernando Cathedral. The U.S. Post Office and Courthouse is an important landmark and continued federal presence in downtown San Antonio. Situated across from the historic Alamo, the building holds a prominent position in Alamo Plaza, one of the city's 3 major plazas. The building was a product of the Federal Public Works program enacted to relieve widespread unemployment during the Great Depression of the 1930s. Its construction accomplished several goals: generating employment, housing all federal agencies in a single building, and streamlining San Antonio's quickly expanding postal needs. Ahead of us on your right is the San Antonio Express News Building. The Express newspaper started in 1865 and today is the only local newspaper still in print.
They're about the same.
We're on our way to 2 of San Antonio's historic brewery locations. The first one being the San Antonio Museum of Art, where you will have the opportunity to hop off and visit at your leisure. Then the historic Pearl Brewery Complex, which houses a mix of restaurants and retail shops. In case you take notice, the
Ah,
reason for the
tandi-
two
tandi hawali
brewery
jagah.
sites in such close proximity to one another
Yes.
is that they were
Tomorrow,
both San Antonio River, a prime piece of real estate for
No,
brewing
I
beer
haven't
due
booked
to the
yet.
natural source of water.
That one or this one?
Over the years, San Antonio has expanded
What happened?
quickly
Why you-
from
why
around
you walking?
4,000
Why
in
you walking? You need to sit
1850
down.
to 50,000 by the turn of the century,
You can't
to
go.
400,000 by 1950,
Kaya na.
and then over
You
a
have to sit like
million
that.
by the year
Okay,
2000.
go.
And
Better
it's
be done.
still
Okay, Adam.
growing.
Come on, go.
The city has a
Delia,
diversified
go.
economy and many big
Pakad jao.
employers.
Pakad jao.
Some of the important sectors are financial services, healthcare, tourism, education, and government. In modern times, the city has been divided into 10 council districts designed to ensure an equal population distribution between all.
Uji, dikhao na,
Each
Uji,
district
dikhao.
and electing one member to sit with the mayor on the city council.
Shahrukh Khan.
The city has more than 30 higher education facilities, which
ये तो
cater for
बिल्कुल
over
अपने बाबा के जैसा लग
100,000
रहा है
students.
माशाल्लाह.
The military, of course, has a
Abhi-
major
abhi to
presence
yaad
in
kar lo,
San
abhi.
Antonio. The
Abhi.
city and its surrounding area
Oh, this is
are
our
host
hotel.
to Lackland Air Force
That one,
Base,
this one. ये वाला.
Randolph Air Force Base,
ये वाला hotel,
Brook
अपना
City
hotel है.
Base,
Like this
Camp
one.
Bullis, Camp Stanley,
ये हमारा
and
hotel है.
also Fort Sam Houston, from whose parade ground the first military flight in history took off in 1910. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, military aviation development continued to be
Our
one of
hotel
the
is
fort's
nice.
main focuses. The important contributions of Fort Sam Houston to America were recognized in 1975 when the post was designated as a National Historic Landmark. As one of the Army's oldest installations, Fort Sam Houston boasts its largest collection of historic structures, more than 900 buildings, 9 times as many as Colonial Williamsburg. The historical integrity of the fort's different sections have been retained and represent different eras of construction and reflect Army concepts in planning and design. Careful preservation of these areas allows the post to live with its history, surrounded by the existence of traditions of excellence established when the first soldier arrived here in 1845. Throughout its history, Fort Sam Houston has had an excellent relationship with the city of San Antonio. The two have grown together. The city has often been called the mother-in-law of the Army because so many soldiers, including Dwight D. Eisenhower, met their future spouses. The 3,400-acre site has several buildings, including the Fort Sam Houston Museum, the U.S. Army Medical Department, and the oldest building on the base, the Quadrangle, which was built in 1876, and in 1886, for 40 days, incarcerated the Apache Indian chief Geronimo. These buildings are open to the public at certain times of the week. Please check before going.
I am making a video.
We are now at the Pearl Brewery
Showing
Complex.
what you're doing.
The ori-
That's a lie.